Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my Dorney Park recreation. Last time we built out Hydra, put down the layout here, and made all the decorations and stuff for it. Looking pretty solid, making some really great progress on this part of the park over here. So for today, I would like to continue to make good on my policy of finishing what I start. I guess it's not really an official policy, but I think I'd like to try to make it one. There's a thing we do at my workplace too, which is try to work on the things that are closest to being done. And it just helps to kind of keep the progress going, make sure things are getting accomplished and not leaving a bunch of unfinished work everywhere. And I think it's a pretty good policy. And in the middle of the park here, we have this big area here, this Planet Snoopy. I've been talking about it a lot. We started it way back. There's been a lot of placeholders here that have just been kind of bothering me for a while. I really need to get them cleaned up and finished, so this part of the park looks nice, and it's right in the middle of the park. It's the first thing you see when you open it up. Reminds me every time that there's just this blank space that I need to fill in. So I think I'm just going to do that today. There's a couple of shoestring rides that we need to put in here, but there's also a couple of rides that don't require shoestringing, and they're just going to be pretty easy to do. So there's no real reason for me to continue delaying. Might as well just get them done. So that's what we're going to do today. There we go. That is the final Planet Snoopy ride. I believe I've got every single one down in here. We still have a couple placeholders for buildings, but I wasn't planning on doing this today. Just wanted to get all the rides built. Didn't have to shoestring anything, fortunately. With my new strategy of just building a bunch of stuff in powered launch mode, you just hack a bunch of trains to spin in a circle and it works out perfectly fine. So that made everything go a lot more smoothly, a lot easier, not a bunch of underground track everywhere, which is definitely very exciting. I like this strategy a lot better than having to shoestring a whole bunch of stuff like we did in Cedar Point. So nice to see this area fleshed out. Peeps are having a great time. Got some foliage in here. Path still needs a little bit of work. There's still some semi-placeholder path in here. I am going to wait until I do all the buildings in here to get that done. Hopefully we get that done sooner rather than later. Like I said, I want to try to get stuff finished rather than starting new things. But, you know, some progress is better than no progress. There is still more yet I want to do today. We've made a ton of progress on the center of the park here. And in order to get things even closer to being done here, there is one glaring hole, and that is Meteor. The Huss Ranger, I think, is the make and model. If you don't know what that is, it's basically the inverter swinging ship in the vanilla game. This guy right here, which is a perfectly fine little thrill ride to add to your RCT parks, but you know, if you want to build something realistic looking, it's a little bit small scale wise. I know I did that for the regular swinging ship over here, and I thought it looked pretty okay, but I want to go all out for Meteor because it doesn't look anything like this thing. It doesn't look like a shark. It's got inverted seats. It uses what's effectively the same thing as the RCT face-off cars. I think it would be a pretty good candidate for doing some pretty crazy ride hacks. I've done the Larson loop thing a few times. Did that tutorial video on it a while ago. So that's the way I want to do it here in my Dorney Park. I was able to build a prototype version of it in an empty save the other day. So I know it can work and I know that it will work. It's just a matter of making sure that I don't screw it up as I build. So we're gonna go ahead and delete our little placeholder here and get started with that. So wish me luck. All right, assuming this doesn't break or explode, I think we have our Meteor build here. Should see the other car pop up here in just a second. There it goes. And we have our cars swinging around in synchronicity there. This is a really complex build, and again, thank God for the vehicle editor, because getting the spacing of the cars just right, I don't think it's quite perfect here, but it's pretty close. Do you have to mess with the spacing manually to get them to work right? More so than usual for shoestringing, but it works, so pretty exciting. What we have here is two sets of vehicles that are going to be swinging back and forth, and eventually they'll invert a little bit, just like the real ride. So yeah, pretty cool. Next steps, we got to do some decoration. Obviously we can't have our track poking out of the ground here and over here and the vehicle popping out. And this track is got to be made invisible too. So gonna be some tedious work with the tile inspector, I think, to get that done. Because if you just make this invisible, we will still see the boosters, I think. Yeah, you can still see the boosters. So that's not gonna work. And if we change the track type, it's gonna affect the behavior of the ride too. So I think what we're gonna have to do is just make everything invisible tile inspector for the control track. We should be able to just change the ride itself to have invisible colored track, and that should work. Then we'll have to hide the support footers here and the station as well. So let's get these final touches done. We're gonna leave it here for today. Got Meteor decorated pretty much as good as it's gonna get for now. Again, with this kind of hacked ride, you can't really have like arms for the vehicles. You just kind of have to pretend that they're there. It's working well enough though. I had to spend a little bit of time off camera fixing some stuff. I noticed we weren't getting stats on this, which I normally don't care about stats, as I've mentioned before, but if you don't get stats, it's usually indicative of some kind of problem somewhere else. And I did notice that one of the rides I made over here, Charlie Brown's Windup, actually was stuck testing forever. There were people in line, but the vehicles wouldn't stop going around. So I guess there's some issue with these kind of chairlift cars not working with powered launch mode. So I did have to convert this into a shoestring. Sadly, there's now some shoestring track down here. Kind of sad that we couldn't make it work the way we did every other ride in here, but you know, only shoestringing one ride out of, you know, the 8 or so that we've made today, you know, I'll take that. So yeah, made some good progress today. Nice to get all these rides built. Quite a big proportion of all the rides in the park, I think, are now complete. There's not a ton left to do. Obviously, we have some big roller coasters over here on the other side. But there's only like one flat ride left, the Scrambler here, and then the train ride and the car ride, but that's kind of it. And then the water park, of course, and the stuff over here. Okay, so I guess there is still a bit left, but we're making a pretty good chunk into what's remaining. I do have to spend some time thinking about the pathing over here on the midway. With the way I got the elevation changes, things look really bizarre over here, so I need to figure out what I'm doing. It looks real weird. This is the way the RCT works, and the grid system and everything. Sometimes it's a little bit wonky. But I like how Meteor turned out. I like how the Planet Snoopy turned out. Still got a couple buildings to build still, but I'll probably save those for off camera or some other episode in the far future. But that will do it for this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.